That's so cool.
Yeah, you could actually retweet from the Math Magazine Twitter. Like, it'll retweet this to everyone and it'll be live.
Yeah, did you want to do that with yours?
Yeah, my team's might already be on it.
Yeah, hi everybody. We're going to kind of let people roll in and settle in while we introduce ourselves. I'm Dia Dynasty.
And I'm Lucy Sweetkill.
And we are La Maison de Rouge. And we have our special guest today, the editor-in-chief of Math Magazine, which, in case you haven't heard of Math Magazine, it is a very beautiful publication.
And it's not about math.
Nope. No, it's not. And it is essentially what I call smut for smarties.
That's good. That's a good hashtag right there.
I'm like, you're hired.
I feel like that should be our new hashtag in general with all our friends.
Yeah, it's not like for, people that are, well, it's for everybody, even if you're not a smartie.
I want to come out with a line of underwear where it says smartass.
Ooh,
yeah.
I like that. So, have you thought about incorporating math symbols into this, almost as a wordplay, like using the symbols as letters in some way, or?
Well, on the beginning and end of every issue, we actually have real math work pages.
Cool.
When I first moved to Brooklyn, I was living with a friend who was going to school or applying to go to school to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So he was legit studying math, and I asked if I could scan stuff, and it's pretty funny. If you look very closely, you can see he wrote boring on the side and erased it.
That's funny.
It's like a cute little Easter egg.
Oh, I like that.
So it's in the first page of the magazine?
The first and last. So the joke is if your mom finds it.
Yeah, that's what I was
and,
thinking.
Peeks,
It's like,
you're like, oh, it's legit.
Oh, right.
That's
So
awesome.
I used to do that with my journals.
But this is MacKenzie, and how long, we're going to ask you a few questions because we want to get into the history of Math Magazine and you and all of that jazz.
I'm here for it.
So we always like to start with if you can introduce yourself. So name, titles, what you do, and then, of course, any pronouns if you choose as well. So
Yeah.
start with that.
I'm MacKenzie Peck. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Math Magazine and the Afterglow, which is our digital platform. And I go by she, her, and I think I got it all.
Yeah, and how long have you been doing Math Magazine?
I had the idea in about 2013, and it took a little while to get going. So the first issue was in 2015.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not, you have
A little longer than I thought, I guess. I haven't known about it for very long.
all right, so we're going to kind of go into your history before we get into how you've been doing things now. So what is your history in regards to your interest in sex and sexuality and all of this, and sex work, basically,
There's so much. I mean, the year I had the idea was also this kind of summer of self-discovery for me, where I was reading Sex at Dawn, and
such a good book,
right? And I feel like a lot of times when you're seeking teachers, you find the people that you need, and a lot of people were kind of pushing me in the direction of getting the vocabulary of kink, of polyamory. I identify as polyamorous. And it was very liberating just to have words for some things that I know that I've been feeling for a long time. Looking back at old diaries from when I was little, I was poly. I was super poly.
Interesting. So wait, what were some of the indications of that in your diary?
I wanted everyone to love me. And I loved everyone. I had a really interesting coping mechanism for, when you're at the age when you know you shouldn't be afraid of monsters under your bed, but you sort of are okay, I need to get through this. So I kid you not, I would imagine that instead of a monster under my bed, that there was an opening to a basement level, and all the cute boys from school were down there waiting for me.
So you had a dungeon.
Yeah. like
a dungeon of sex slaves.
And like I could pick which ones they like all wanted me, and I got to pick which ones were like making the cut.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's definitely like poly-oriented.
So what years were these diaries?
Oh
Like,
God!
How
like,
old were you? From like when to when?
It had to be like middle school, early middle school. Like, and so that summer when I thought of the magazine, I really felt so empowered and realized that there's worlds within worlds. You know, I remember finding like the map of kinks on the FetLife. Have you ever seen that beautiful map of how it like relates all these different?
Is it like a web, like a bubble map?
No,
Like
it looks like countries and like islands, and it really helps you see how things like relate.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like
I don't know if I've seen it.
I love it.
Like how
it's
some
not
things
even
are very
like
far apart from others, and some are very closely related.
Yeah.
So you could be like, I don't know, like puppy play or something, and then you see kind of some of the related things, and it kind of connected a lot of dots for me. So I was realizing that like there wasn't porn that really appealed to me at that time. I was looking for community. I was looking for stuff that would appeal to me sexually, and you know, looking for a new career path after trying to make it in the art world and not really feeling very satisfied. I decided sex and porn is really something that everybody has a very visceral response to and a personal experience with, and I felt like there's a lot of opportunity there. So
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to go even like earlier. Do you feel like you were very like, as a kid, did you feel like certain aspects of yourself being alternative as a kid, like interest in like alternative things? Did you feel like you were kind of a kid that was pretty interested in like sex and body and sexuality, you know, at an early age?
I don't know. I know that when I discovered masturbation, I couldn't stop. I was totally addicted to masturbation.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend who's a boy who's very like loud and funny, and he comes over to hang out, and he's like, he smells, and he's like, it smells like ass, and I'm like, honey, no. I just masturbate too much.
Oh, that's so funny.
I was so mortified. I was
really?
mortified.
Oh, you were? Okay.
No. Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was really
Can
embarrassing.
I ask you when you first discovered masturbating, like your age?
I don't know. I'm bad with timelines. I feel like early middle school maybe.
I started masturbating really early.
Yeah, me too.
And I think,
Maybe
that
late.
was something that you and I talked about.
Yeah, was it like in the single digits maybe?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that's
when we
I
discovered fingers.
Yeah. I started masturbating really early, and I would say like maybe even 8.
I think I started like around 4.
Dang.
I've been masturbating for 50 years, guys. No, but it's really fascinating because you're talking about kind of like your sexually developmental years in junior high, but you're talking about that was kind of like very early on to discover something like polyamory, right?
Oh, I mean, I think I was feeling those polyamorous ways.
Yeah,
but
not
didn't
knowing
have the
the
language
term,
for it. And I remember, you know, talking to childhood friends as an adult, like more recently, and they'd say things like, you were always sort of like different or something. And maybe I still don't even understand the ways that I was unusual at that young age. Maybe I take it for granted.
So then the art kind of world, you were sort of dissatisfied, and then so you decided. So how did Math Magazine come into fruition? Basically?
Well, I had this idea originally at a house party in Baltimore. So I went to school there, and I was stuck around. I was working at this art gallery, and I had a party friend, and we'd drink and smoke together. And I was at a house party. I was cross-faded. And like my friend takes off and she's doing her thing, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm on my own, like it's fine. And so when I'm in that headspace, I'm like an artist. I'm trying to absorb moments and capture them for artwork or interpret them in these like heady ways. And so I saw this group of women going upstairs, and I'm like, I'm going up there. I want to know what's going on. And they start playing dress up in this way that was like so hot and so playful, and I was too like high. I was too high to like do anything. They kept trying to draw me in and like have me try on like prom dresses and shit, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay back here and like soak it in. Exactly. And like I remember thinking, you know, I wanted a new career direction. I wanted to start my own business and didn't quite know what it would be.
Yeah.
And it's like Hugh Hefner. I want to be the like progressive, inclusive Hugh Hefner. I want to be in this kind of sexual, beautiful, artistic environment all the time. And my next thought was seriously like, I want to start a porn magazine. And like, keep in mind, I grew up around magazines. I still like worship Vogue and like the New York Times. And to be an editor seems like the epitome of like authority to me.
Yeah.
Because you're curating content and media for other people to absorb as well, so that they can almost be like voyeurs into your own little fantasies.
And like the art world is it's such a little bubble. You're making references and jokes that like a very small group of people will get, and then an even smaller group of people will even care. Yeah. And so like it wasn't really fulfilling. So I was definitely looking for something that was more universal and spoke to a more universal experience.
So then what does Math Magazine, like what makes it different?
Well, in terms of the art world or in terms of porn, like what did you want to create? So you kind of had this idea, you wanted to, you know, be an editor, you wanted a porn mag, like, so what were all the ideas that sort of came together to make Math Magazine? It's really an embodiment of my beliefs. The two are sort of like forever entwined. So like the idea that there would be more than just like skinny white girls doing hetero stuff, like is a given to me. Like it's crazy to me that that's a unique quality for a magazine. It's kind of dumb. Or like to show all different kinks, all different sexual preferences on the same level. So we'll have like a little bit of like vanilla, I have a crush on somebody kind of scenario, or like a married couple like spicing up their relationship, all the way to like niche kinks and obscure kinks, like cake sitting or lunars and stuff like that. And it's all treated with the same amount of like love and enthusiasm and respect.
That's really great.
So yeah, I like it. So the idea is like either you'll see something that you connect with, or if you don't, hopefully you learn something and you're like, okay, I don't want to fuck on a balloon, but like I could understand why somebody else would.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the types of kind of articles and things that are in there as well.
Yeah, there's dirty stories, there's poetry, there are interviews. Like we have an interview with Erica Lust, and I really like doing interviews with people in the industry, so it's not like, what's sex work? It's more like Stoya talking to Buck Angel and talking about like the things that they care about and kind of getting past the like surface stuff. And getting to the meat of issues like trans rights and stuff. So
Yeah, those are all really important and relative right now, especially. It's awesome.
I really like giving platforms to people.
Yeah, and you've created a great one that people can actually like hold on to and read in, you know, private or in public or whatever, because it's not like some naked person on the cover, and even if it was, no big deal.
So then with Math, how, you know, like, so as you were starting, as a person kind of, as a businesswoman doing her own thing, like, what are some of the things you sort of learned while creating Math Magazine and, you know, the content and just the whole process? Because I know Dee and I, we've had a huge, the process of putting a business together and the image and the branding and the building and all of it, there's so much that has evolved and that goes into it. So what have you sort of kind of learned, and what was that evolution like?
The big thing for me has always been slow, organic growth. In the beginning, when you make a mistake, it's $100. Later on, it's $1,000. So like when the impact of your errors is so small, it's a great opportunity to take risks and to learn. So I feel like as the ante has been upping, so has my expertise and my prowess. So it sort of it's been nice to accept the pace of your own growth and know that like things will come to you when you're ready, and not being in such a hurry all the time. I feel like I wish that I had enjoyed the beginning phases a little bit more, when you were kind of like blasting through like landmark achievements like very, very quickly. Because it slows down, you know, and you learn and things like an interview like this, like I feel very comfortable doing it at this point. And like early on when you're learning how to answer interview questions, like you almost take for granted how fast you're learning and learning skills and stuff like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did you feel, you know, what were some of like the biggest troubles with kind of creating Math Magazine?
Initially, it's like, you know, we were talking about the beginning and how it all started. So I had that idea, and the next day I told everybody I knew, like, I'm starting a porn magazine. And they're like, sure, great, like, good luck with that, you know? Which is understandable, right? I hadn't found my people. So it was maybe, was it 2 or 3 years later when an old friend was like, whatever happened to that idea you had, I'd like to shoot the first shoot. And once like those 4 or 5 people got involved, I was really, I felt an obligation to them to create the rest of the magazine. So the difficulty is when you just have an idea and you don't have any proof of concept. And a lot of people are just agreeing to work with you based on a belief in the idea and a trust in you as a person.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of get that proof of concept, I started with issue 0. Then I really had something to show for myself, to show that I was serious. And basically, it's like get on this train or miss out.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing, because I feel like I've had the same mission all along. It's just about finding the people who want to be a part of it. And now it's great. Now people want to be in the magazine, and I have trouble keeping up with emails. And
Oh, well, that's a good problem to have.
sort of.
You
It
have
stresses me out.
plenty of material to pull from.
Yeah.
As far as people offering.
And I have to be picky. I have to keep my head on straight about what I want to see in the pages. So
Yeah. So what have you been into now? Like, what are you wanting to put in the magazine?
oh my god.
Because I feel like, you know, as this being like a creative product of yours, like you go through phases of like what you want to see, what you want to like produce.
Yeah.
So what is that phase right now?
I always have little goals for myself. On our blog, I actually have a wish list of like shoots and stories I want to see. Even the other day, I tweeted about how I want to see a story that's like slime, time travel, alien sex, tentacle porn, time traveling, like I would love that. I am really into this model on Instagram who takes pictures like underwater with the like air mask thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to like get her or something like that, like some sort of like scuba diving, like
Underwater
BDSM
creature.
I feel like I'm into like airplay a little bit, or like the medical apparatus type stuff. I find myself like looking at that more. I'm always dying to find older couples too. I mean,
Oh, that's a great idea.
like I've got a few, like I want like hardcore, like real older couples in the magazine.
Yeah,
so
that would
if
be
anybody
really
out
awesome.
there, like, and you're older than like 50 or even
And-
45,
And you mean hardcore as in like sexually graphic
yeah.
depicting? Okay.
It's kind of incredible that photos of people actually fucking aren't. I mean, maybe I'm just too used to this, but they're not that graphic. Like when people are on top of each other and like really into it, it's so much more about like their facial expressions and their emotional connection and like the sweat and the hairs and the, you know, it's more about that than anything else.
Yeah.
Instead of like the money shot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's awesome that you're looking for people of certain age to portray, because I think we do have that ageism in our society, right? All of a sudden you become a certain age and people are like, nope, you're not supposed to have any sexuality, sex,
Or it's
anything.
fetishized in another way.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's frustrating to me too. So, I mean, I try to show all of this diversity, but without fetishizing it. So, a good friend of mine, like her name is Laura, and she's bigger bodied or fat or whatever she wants to call it. And she really connected to the idea that we had bigger bodies, but it wasn't about their bodies being bigger. You know, it's just like, here's a person
very normal
masturbating.
Yeah.
Here's a person fucking and having a good time. It's not like
Yeah.
just because of that.
Yeah. You haven't
It wasn't like a
fetishized.
BBW thing.
Right.
That's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any other items that you've sort of been wanting to capture and put in?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what else is on your wish list?
I always want group sex. I love the idea of like just a room dense with bodies.
Yeah.
I want a really queer couple would be great. Like really like gender non-conforming like couple or threesome for some. We're working on a daisy chain too. Like, but I want it to be a circle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think
It's
you
hard
should
to
definitely
cast.
do a. We always talk about like a slaves human centipede.
Oh, yeah.
Like BDSM.
Yes.
Human slave centipede.
Yeah.
I just got some water sport photos. Did I
fun.
say it?
Yeah, water
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting those for a while.
Could you tell us a little bit about your own kinks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm into. I sort of, I really like sending my partner out on dates and then hearing about them.
Oh.
Is that like cuckolding but for female?
Yeah.
Is there a name for that?
I mean, it's just, I guess,
It's
female.
It's more or less
But it's not
cuckolding.
shamey.
Yeah.
No.
It's more just like,
It's like voyeuristic.
Right,
Yeah.
but more like a mental voyeurism rather than
Like, do
visual.
you want to see your partner have sex with someone?
I mean, I
Have
feel
you?
like I'd get in the way.
You can
Have I?
hide in the closet.
I think I have. Okay, so we've done like threesomes, and I actually really like
That's
that.
my solution.
And we'll hear like the vibrator.
Yeah.
The other person's like, what's that noise? Oh, just ignore it.
Totally.
Yeah. Pipes.
And I have to like pee or something.
In a jar.
It's your own little
I'm
dungeon.
into it. But we've done like threesomes where I want him to just like be with the other person, and I just want to hang out, and they're always just trying to like draw me in, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Like seriously, like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
I just had this exact conversation with a really good friend of mine. We had lunch, and she was talking about the same exact thing, where she was like, I'm like a female couple, and I don't really meet that many female couples. Like, I just
Give her
want
my number.
Yeah, she was like, I just want to watch, like, my partner have sex with people. I don't, I'll come in when I want to come in, but I'd like to, like, have my, like, cigarette or something, and then just, like, watch.
I'm the exact same way, and I don't even know that I would consider it a cuckold because it's not, like you said, it's not humiliating. It's not like, oh, she's better than you, you know.
Yeah.
And so it really is just almost like creating your own porn to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's got to be a word for it, or we have to create a word for it.
Is it
Because it's
voyeuristic though? Like maybe
I think
even
it's
not
like,
because
I feel like it's a female version of voyeurism, right? Where we like our mental.
where we orchestrate it.
Yeah, we like to control it, but it's like that
What?
mental
Not
stimulation,
cuckold.
right? Because it's definitely not cuckolding because there is no like humiliation factor,
Right.
but it is definitely a mental stimulation,
Right,
A mental
very.
stimulation,
And it's visual stimulation too.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
keywords you said was I like to send my partner on dates and hear about them. Like that is kind of like there's a lot of control in that, right?
Mhm.
Like, go do this, so then you can come tell me. It's almost like go do this and then tell me
Go
the
buy
entertaining
eggs.
story.
Go buy eggs and then make me an omelet.
So there's definitely this like control factor. I think that is still happening. Where you sort of control everything that's
Yeah,
going on.
exactly. Like it seems like it's not that uncommon for women to have this fantasy or this desire.
Yeah.
Like Jen Red Fire is also talking about the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then Lucy, your girlfriend, like exact same thing. And
Yeah, I have those fantasies.
yeah,
Like,
and it's,
I actually don't, when I fantasize, I don't fantasize about myself in something, but I do fantasize about other people I know in something.
Mhm.
What does that say, you think?
yeah. Is there an actual
You have
term
a
for
creative
this yet?
mind.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily want to be in
Yes.
my fantasy, I'm kind of like, I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm the same way. I'm always like watching somebody else, like do the stuff.
Yeah,
Just watching.
in my mind, All right. What else? What are
Sorry.
your other kinks?
Totally sidetracked.
What else? This is really wild. I've never said this like publicly. I'm ready.
I'm sold.
All right. So I remember hearing a news article where a woman was at the dentist and she was raped while she was under, what do you call it?
Nitrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe she woke up during it or something. I don't know. Maybe I've added that. And I think that's hot. So I'll like imagine that I've woken up into that scene
Yeah.
and like, wait, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, it feels good. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I imagine like the dental hygienist like standing by like, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to get paid.
So she's just watching and not doing anything about it, or he.
Yeah.
And then the dentist is actually like the one violating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it doesn't even get very specific. It's just the idea of like coming into being violated and like realizing that you're like into it. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, I mean, rape fantasies are definitely huge,
Yeah.
you know, and I think there's definitely a safe place for it, and I think it's such a, rape fantasies are definitely a taboo thing still, right? Where people don't want to talk about it, especially with this Me Too movement and everything, and I think it can be very empowering for people who've gone through sexual trauma, like at least my personal opinion, not everyone, you know, but I think it can be, but it also can be really sexy in a consensual way to fantasize about it, right? To fantasize about something so taboo. I think that's also why the massage thing is like a
I
popular
love that too.
genre.
Yep.
The massage
That's
genre is like,
lame.
oh, I'm just supposed to be getting
Oh,
massage.
Or the dirty yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And then the sleeping one too. I've
The
seen
sleeping
that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
sleeping. Oh
Yeah.
God, this
Yeah.
is a theme, right? I love all these things. You guys get me. But I think for the massage thing, sometimes I need a little bit of time to really get into the right headspace with my
Yeah.
person. Like, I'm still thinking about emails and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now be in your body and like be here with me.
And I think that's why the massage thing is really great, because it is something that's relaxing for women. You know, it takes us a little bit mentally, and then
And there's an element of sensuality in that
there's
too.
still the sensuality. There's the comfort. It feels comfortable, and as you start like getting there, then it's like, okay, 30
Now I'm
minutes
ready.
after the massage, now you can be freaky with me.
And I just love the little like, oh, slip a finger, whoops.
Yeah, like there's definitely a hotness in it.
And I actually had the opportunity to experience that for real. We were at a resort in Mexico, and they offer that. And
They offer rape fantasies.
I mean,
Rape massages.
like
ending.
sexy, happy ending.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Female happy endings.
Yeah. And I totally chickened out. Sometimes when the fantasy becomes reality, you're like, okay, no.
Well, that's the thing, like, and hopefully all of you guys recognize that we are talking about fantasies and not reality.
Yeah.
Because I've been massaged and been, like, you know, kind of touched, and it was not sexy. It was not consensual, it was not fantasy fulfilling, and it was unwanted.
Yeah.
Not
And
cool.
so those are like.
I'm talking about something where you have to pay extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you agree upon
Yeah, you've
this thing.
agreed because you're paying extra. Like I.
Yes, sometimes a fantasy is better just as a fantasy.
Yes, I definitely agree, and I think that's what happens with the cuckolding too. Like, I have those fantasies of watching my partner have sex with someone, but I don't know if I want to actually watch him have sex with someone.
Do you think that it would be more about those feelings that might kind of like disturb you after,
I haven't,
or like stay with you?
I feel like I haven't fully wrapped my head around it yet, so I can't like make it happen. I think maybe I will get there at some point, but I don't know if it's. But I do like it as a fantasy. So
Okay.
that's why I was asking you.
I would
if
be especially into that actually if I were doming the whole thing.
Right.
I've asked for this a few times. I don't know if it's worked out where I'm sort of directing the scene and like telling them what to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not participating.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one time my partner was with someone and it got to the point where I had to just like leave the room. I'm like, you guys like just do your thing. I'm gonna check some emails. Like
You and your emails.
I know, God, it's awful. That's my number one kink is answering emails. So yeah, it is tough to like just watch because people always want to like draw you in, which is flattering, but you know,
Sometimes
Email
yeah.
orgy. I'm this, but like for me, my partner, I've been trying to get my partner to do this, and he's just like, I don't really, like I would want you to, and I'm just like, I just really want to hide in the closet.
I think that's what makes it, like, if you're sitting there, maybe it's a little bit easier. She's like, I can see you, but hiding in the closet, I'm eating
Cheetos or something.
I feel like that's the thing.
I guess that's like kind of awkward. I guess so. I'm just such a weird pervy creep. I'm just like, let me just hide it. Let me just go outside and peep in the window. How about that?
You're like, this is part of the whole scene.
But I'm ready for that to happen. I would love that.
No, that'd be interesting. I mean, we definitely, I think women have a lot of
different degrees of it happening here. You're like, it's happened, and I'm gonna go check emails. I'm like, I want it to happen, and you're like, I only think about it.
Yeah, I like to think about it, but I don't know when they're it. But I definitely get, so you haven't ever talked about the rape fantasy before?
Like, in a public forum. I talked about it with, like,
on national television.
Ah. Is there any other things? Do you find it to be very taboo?
I just think people don't know how to act.
Yeah.
That's basically
it requires like unicorns.
Definitely.
Those are hard to
No,
find.
I mean, like, in the public forum, people don't know how to act.
Right.
Like,
They don't really know
make
what to say.
assumptions about who you are, what you're about.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's been really polite so far. I just kind of wanted to interject that if you guys have questions for MacKenzie, hold them till the end, until our interview section is finished.
So then, all right. So going back to with Math Magazine, you also created another platform, which was obviously afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then tell us about that. Is it just more of an extension of Math Magazine?
Yeah. The Afterglow is our online magazine, so it's a good space for content that I'd love to see in the print issues, but maybe it's like a little bit more timely or more like heady and intellectual. Like we'll review our exhibits. We reviewed the Iraqi show at Museum of Sex, and we will cover events and parties. We'll take a lot of party photos and share those. I think people who don't live here are very curious about some of like the scenes, the party scenes, and the club scenes and stuff. So it's a great way to like peer into different worlds.
And more accessible.
Yeah, and there's like the opportunity to start doing video. So we just got our like YouTube account set up, and we want to start doing more video content for sure.
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like the video has kind of come in and out, right? I felt like for a while people were like, no, and then now it's kind of all back. Everything is moved to video and live video as much as possible.
Yeah, I was just reading about the new CEO of kink.com and how her background's in tech, and there's this focus on keeping up with the times technologically, and I'm interested to see what they end up doing, with not producing their own content anymore, and just being like a platform.
Yes, whole new generation of kink.com.
Yeah.
It'll be fascinating.
It's really interesting.
Run by a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
So, I read that interview too, and I think we were going to post it on our website because it was a really good interview and it was really interesting. And kink.com definitely was my first like porn foray into the kink porn, where I was like, what is happening? I need to see all of this. I was like really like someone I dated introduced me because he watched it all the time, and I was like, what is this? And realized I ended up actually knowing like some of the people and the owner back in my San Francisco days, and I was like, oh, full circle. This all makes sense now.
Yeah, everybody finds each other.
Yeah. But so do you see Math Magazine right now, like where is it being distributed? Like
Internationally.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's very exciting. The people we get to reach all over the place, and the like little nooks all over the world where you're like, okay, somehow you found us, and I'm like happy about it.
How often are you guys publishing?
I started off quarterly, Now that we're starting to do more events and digital content, I think I'm going to cut back to like 2 a year.
Okay.
We had subscriptions for a while, so I'm sort of closing out that chapter and seeing like where we can go next. Maybe maybe digital even, like maybe a shortened version or something for less money, or I don't know. I still worry about piracy, so I'm trying to wrap my head around how we can navigate.
Yeah, I guess that's a big thing that you have to think about a lot, right?
Yeah.
Of trying to create original content, but a lot of that original content is always kind of taken.
And being in print, it doesn't seem to be much of a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that I know of.
So cutting back is to more like, do you also mean that Math Magazine's going to get like bigger also if you're going to do less?
Do you mean the page count? Or
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, will you make it?
It's more for my sanity to have a slower turnaround.
Right.
Yeah.
I was definitely on the path to like really burning out, and I think just diversifying our like the way we're doing things. We're expanding our e-commerce so that we're selling brands other than just our own.
Yeah.
Like there's these peer companies that I really love. Like I don't think of them as competition. I think of them as peers that I want to lift up to, because we all win. So there's this zine called Divine Zine, and we're selling them. We're selling their T-shirts.
Yeah.
And I'd love to like sell accessories and stuff like that too. So.
Yeah, co-collaborating I think is really important.
And we're doing like a limited edition collar with this brand called Negative Hearts. It's like plastic, and they're gonna do like a math colorway. Just
Oh, nice.
Like exclusive.
Yes.
So you guys actually recently put out a new book, right? And what number is it? Do you know?
Well, it's issue 6, but it's actually the 7th issue because we had an issue 0. Because I was afraid it was going to suck, and I'd act like it never happened.
I think there's always an issue 0 normally, right? No?
Yeah.
Some people do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember writing for an issue 0 of a really high-end publication that comes out like once every 2 years now.
Nice. That makes me feel like validated.
Yeah.
So what is in this current issue? Like, what can people look forward to seeing if they get the issue?
Can I show you?
Yeah,
Please.
Because all the
show everybody.
I'll show all of you.
Here it is.
It is. So it's very discreet. Let's see. Oh my gosh. So
She
this
just
is
opened up to this.
you can't even tell, but it's a story. I was having sex dreams about Elon Musk, and one of my interns wrote a story basically for me about that.
Oh, for you. Okay.
I mean, like, I mentioned it one day, and then suddenly they're like, here you go. We've got a pregnant woman in bondage.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's some really
There's
hot
lots of
things.
artwork. This great Dom sub scene. This model, he's actually been in a lot of fetish shoots, and he never shows his face. So I wanted to get creative with like how we went about it. So putting some feet in his face seemed appropriate.
And a butt.
Yeah, and some butt stuff. A lot of this is about just like normalizing like anatomy.
Yep.
Vulvas
of all stripes.
Yeah, and like hot boys in a like cool apartment.
You'd switch.
Yeah, that's cute. I'd switch to
Like, what's up?
Oh, hello.
I make
What is the one with the something
Ice
in your
cube?
mouth? Oh, that's an ice cube. Okay.
So this is kind of like a fire and ice kind of thing.
Nice.
So I make these wild requests. I'm like, can you like light this candle and put it in your pussy, please?
Can I tell you my
Yes.
lighting something in a pussy story?
Yeah.
Actually, so this is crazy, and maybe you can actually capture this. So I was in Jamaica on a girls' trip, and there's a place in Jamaica. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the name, but for some reason they have tons of strip clubs, and it's super small, like fishing
It's like
village.
a shack, right?
Yeah. So one of the strip clubs was called Taste and Bite. But there was an accent, right? So there's a Jamaican accent. I was like, what's tasty bite. Like, I didn't actually know what they were saying until we get there, and it was literally a strip joint that was like a shack. And you go upstairs, and it's all like wood. It really looked like it was gonna just like fall apart. And then there was one stripper pole that really looked like it was rusty, you know? and then downstairs, like all these girls are hanging out, and then I was like, oh, taste and bite. So taste upstairs is a stripping, downstairs are the prostitutes. Bite. Oh. So you get a taste, you can also get a bite, right? But the best. So it's a bunch of girls, and we had met some friends who used to like work in New York, and so they take us there, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then the woman who's dancing has a shirt on but no pants, and I was like, isn't that the opposite? But whatever. I was like, you got your shirt on, no pants. So she's dancing, and a friend of mine who's with us is a stripper as well, and decides to get on the pool with her, right? So now they're both dancing on this pool, and then all of a sudden, the girl like lights 2 cigarettes, flips, you know that stripper flip where you go around and your legs are up, and she puts,
on the pole.
Yeah, on the pole,
yeah.
like, and she puts the cigarette, one in her butt, one in her pussy, and they both puff. I'm like this close, so I'm like, wow, what is happening?
I'd be like,
right?
Yeah.
And then my friend doesn't notice it until, because she was like sort of dancing on the side, and then turns around, and in her like mama stripper way, as this stuff is puffing, going down, she pulls them both out. And then I guess it's stripper etiquette, and she offers them to the crowd, and everybody's like, no.
I thought
And then-
someone would take it.
Yeah, and then she put it down and just stumped it out. And I was just like, that was
No bushfires
Yeah.
that day.
I was like, and then we just talked about how did she puff it out of each one?
I feel like I could feel it with
Like,
my
would
body,
you
what I would do.
queef? Like, would you have to push enough to queef to push it out? Because I don't smoke, so I don't really, I guess
Yeah.
you just blow air. But are you blowing enough air in either one?
I do know
Right?
that if you
the science of
if
it?
I do know that when you fart, after you're done, your booty hole kind of like opens, and then when it closes, it like sucks a little bit of air in. That's why you should never really light your farts with a bare naked butt, because you could pull the fire into your anus.
Now, where did you learn this?
I learned that from my partner. Okay. Fun facts. His partner. Yeah, years of self practice. But that's like, on the occasion that you're farting. I don't really know like if you're not farting, like how you inhale with your orifices.
That's why I was like, what?
With your lower orifices.
I was like, so.
We need to have maybe we could get like a slave, like a demo where we get a bunch of slaves and we line them up and we're like, okay, now who can do this?
Yeah, put a cigarette in your butt and see if you can but it was intense. And
So
then
she smoked the whole cigarette down.
she
Or
she-
most of
it just
down.
puffed. It just puffed a few times, and I was like, how is this happening? I was just more like, how anatomy
Slow
wise,
your
how
heart
is
rate.
this happening?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I
You
got
start
concerned because it was obviously going down, and then my friend got concerned. That's why she pulled them out. And then later that night, one of the prostitutes. And then later that night, one of the prostitutes who didn't get paid by one of the guys we were with, which we found out later, took off her shoe and threw it at his head. And it was one of the most amazing nights I've ever been. Because
Always pay your stripper and the
always
IRS.
pay yours. Yes.
And the IRS.
Two. Yeah.
Don't ever not pay a stripper or the IRS.
Yeah. She
will come after you.
and she threw it far and she had like a huge ass platform, and she knocked him.
She's probably done it before.
Yes.
That's the other use for those shoes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Weapons.
I was just amazed. I was like watching from the taste part, so they had like this balcony, and I was just like,
Good aim.
What is happening? They were just like yelling, and it's like, and then our friend was telling us about it all, like, oh, he didn't pay them, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, you don't do that. And then she took off her shoe and hit him way hard, and I was like, that's what you get.
Yep. You got stripper audited.
I love that.
You're all the hashtags today, aren't you? You got all the hashtags.
I've spent so much time alone that I'm finally able to like come up with funny things.
But that
That's
is
your
what
process.
you need in your next math magazine. See who can puff cigarettes out of those holes.
Yes.
Yeah.
If anybody out there,
Yeah. Should let us know. So what are some, can you tell us any projects that you're working on now or anything people should be really excited to see?
we are putting together a photographer and model mixer. We had one at Holy Rad Studio not too long ago, and it was a huge success. So we're going to do another one a bit bigger. And we're also putting together a coloring book.
Yes.
We want to release it on a crowdfunding platform, so we might have some hiccups there.
Yeah.
But we're basically taking all of the content from past issues and turning it into, like coloring book drawings. And we're going to have a forward from Zoe Ligon, the amazing Instagram celebrity and sex expert and boutique
awesome.
owner. Yeah, so that should be good. And there's another event. We're definitely trying to do more out in the world. And the best way to keep up with that is to follow us on Instagram or sign up for our email list. And you can do that on our website.
So what is your website?
math-mag.com. If you want to help with our SEO, you can search Math Magazine Porn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody earlier asked, and if you don't mind, because this is relevant, how did you come up with the name for this magazine?
I knew that, as progressive as we'd like to think that the United States is, that we'd want to be a little bit subtle. And I like the idea of it being this, cheeky secret.
Yeah.
I imagined a kid in a classroom with the textbook on the outside and, Mad Magazine or porn on the inside.
A math textbook.
Yeah. The first thought was actually biology, but it seemed too on the nose.
Right.
And I wanted it to be shorter, and I also love the letter M. I don't know if you could see, so naturally. So yeah, that's sort of how it came up. And there's actually a brief moment in porn history where they would make the magazines look like sociological studies or the lesbian in her natural habitat or something, a study, and then it's porn on the inside.
It's that moment.
I'm into that.
Yeah, I
or
did too.
how-to guides, how-to porn is great.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know people used to hide porn in other books and other things.
On your desktop, you put 2014 taxes as the folder that has all the crazy shit.
Yeah. I don't. Unfortunately, my computer. Every time I've had to bring my laptop into Apple to fix it, I always have to warn them. I'm like, there's a lot of interesting content, and then they're like, okay, and I was like, I'm a dominatrix. They're like, okay, and then they just and they're just like. You have to warn people of these things.
I take it all off.
I don't. I'm just kind of this is what I am. This is what I do. Any friends
can't
who
be inconvenienced.
Yeah. Anytime my friends want to grab my phone to look at stuff, I'm like, be careful when you swipe through pictures. There may be other things, and they're like, got it. They're like, oh, too much. Swipe too far.
I think that you're essentially normalizing porn, nudity, kink, whatever, and that's a part of our entire mission is to do this.
That's why we're friends.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they want to judge you, then it's on them. They can judge you.
So for those of you out there, if you have any questions, we wanted to open up to questions. Dia, did you have any other questions?
I'm wondering, MacKenzie, on a personal level, do you have any fantasies that you're looking to fulfill?
So many.
Personal fantasies.
I have a fantasy of having a group of friends where we can hang out, we can just chill and watch a movie or something, and fuck. And for it to... Too often I feel like dates are okay, you've got to go through the paces. You do the app, you do the first date, you do the vetting, and then you fool around, and maybe it becomes a regular thing or whatever. But to be able to integrate sex, like casual sex, with my social life is the dream. And my partner and I are really working toward that.
That's really great. So are you kind of cultivating a crew or
trying?
Okay. Yeah. Doing auditions.
We're just like, will you be our friend? And just even having some friends where we don't even know if they're attracted to us, but there's a little bit of that feeling of sexual tension.
Right. That's
And we probably will never act on it, but just kind of living in that is really nice and refreshing. Instead of it always being about the business, you know, just being able to flirt.
Yeah, flirting is fun. And
I love
essential.
flirting.
It's like play.
Yeah.
I think flirting is the most healthy thing you can do.
Aside from eating vegetables.
Yeah.
And drinking water.
And inserting vegetables in.
The other thing actually is, you know, my partner and I have gone on dates and like hooked up with couples plenty. The new thing is going to a bar and picking up either an individual or a couple, like in the normal world.
Yeah.
That's like next level in my mind.
Oh,
Instead of being on like field and being like swap.
Yeah.
right. Doing
Like,
it individually.
Doing it very organically.
Yeah.
Like without the help of apps or anything like that,
okay.
where if you can strike up that conversation and see if people, and reel it in,
Like
the
the
seduction.
Old style, old world way.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, see, the thing is, and I was having this conversation too, like that organic interaction, right, is possible for certain types of people and certain types of things. And unfortunately, it definitely has to do with looks, you know? Like, organically, if you go out and you're a good-looking person, most things can happen, right? Most interactions you want to have happen, most probably will come around.
As long as you don't run away and do emails.
Yeah.
Which I'm tempted to do at all times.
Which is almost like masturbation, so it's okay.
But, you know, I've had to tell my clients time and again, and I'm talking to another sex worker about this, about being very clear with people of, like, whatever fantasy you have is all possible with enough time, money, and energy. And if you have other things, you know, like if you think that it's organically going to happen, unless you have one of these other factors, right? Being like super good looking or being a like celebrity, which a lot of times means you have to be super good looking, it's not going to really organically happen, you know? It really isn't. And that's the thing that I get people kind of forget. Like, your fantasies can happen. And sex workers are here to help your fantasies come into place, but it takes time, money, energy.
Yep. It takes like the knowing of what you'd like and some negotiation and being able to communicate, like, you know, how it's going to come about and the orchestration of all of it, and then like the energy of planning and scheduling and then of course money, because you're essentially paying actors to help you fulfill this like pornographic movie in your head.
Well, I think the problem is there's so many people who go, oh, I want this to organically happen. And I'm like, no. I would like to organically have a 5-star meal in front of me every day, but I actually have to plan and use time, money, and energy to make that happen. That's the thing people don't get. Sometimes you can. If you're a good-looking person, yes, you're lucky enough in the world that maybe some of these organic orgies happen, you know? But for most people, it doesn't work that way.
Especially if it's like a very specific kind of like kinky fantasy or like a pervy fantasy where, you know, there's...
Like, I feel
Cakes
you and your partner can organically get another couple to have a foursome. Because I feel also foursomes and swinging is very much more common now. And, you know, being a cute couple, it totally works that way. You know, makes it much more easy. But I see the challenge.
I just heard that you said that I was cute, so.
She's not here to stop listening after that.
Oh, cute.
Does anybody else have any questions out there? And if not, you gave us your Instagram and the website. Okay. How much would it cost to go out to a 5-star meal with you three?
Oh,
Well, you can email us. It depends on how long. It depends on the
Yeah,
mail.
there's a lot of factors, so
Yeah.
we can't just like throw down
A quote?
an
Instant
an
estimate.
estimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to email us, it's lemaisonderouge@gmail.com. How about that? That's your answer.
But, you know, we just wanted to say thank you, MacKenzie, for coming on and telling everybody about Math Magazine.
And sharing your very, very private, innermost fantasies that you've never shared on national television.
Be nice to me.
Thank you, Oxygen Boy, for your kind words.
And then next week,
I think it's me alone without anybody else.
Dave's just going to spend the whole time emailing.
Yeah. I'll be hiding in the closet eating Cheetos, hoping somebody pops up with like some, sex. No, so actually I've been taking hypnosis classes, and I'm wondering if anybody wants to be hypnotized like through
That'd be
Periscope.
cool. You can, yeah. You can also try to hypnotize Pop, see what happens.
Oh yeah, that would be funny.
But thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week, Monday. And thank you again, MacKenzie, and I hope you guys enjoyed everything.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you for tuning